good? All the time. God is good. It's a privilege to get an opportunity to stand on this altar to share the word of God. And I have to tell you that it is usually not an easy thing. Amen? Amen. I can speak authoritatively about finances. But when it comes to speaking on the altar, it is different. Because you're speaking some channeled message which has to come from God, not what you just know. And there is so much that you want to share with people, but that is not probably exactly what God gives you when you stand in the altar. So I pray that I'll humble myself before God and let God use me to just share briefly regarding finances. This is one of the difficult topics to be shared in church. Amen. This is one of the churches that I can tell you that we don't talk much about finances. And it is an obvious thing. Finances or money is one of the big topics in everything. We spend a lot of our time talking about money, looking for money, talking about or complaining about money that we don't have, and spending money and a lot of things. Most successful people do a lot of things about money, and a lot of things go either well or bad because something gravitated around money. So it is a privilege really to get a moment to share briefly about finances. I know most of you already have your Bibles, the book of Malachi chapter 10. But we might not go there yet. We'll gravitate around Ephesians 16:3 and Jeremiah 17:7. I have to say that, yes. I have to say that I'm born again, married to one wife. I don't know why people keep saying one wife and all that, but they say that on the book, so let me... married to my lovely wife Jackie and lovely baby, and it's a privilege when you're preparing these messages, Pastor. Your wife prays with you and encourages you because it's not an easy thing. I have 3 daughters, you know them, Brianna, Ariana, and Juliana. Love them to death, and God is good. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I humble myself before thee when I stand here and bring your word forth. I pray that, Father God, everything that I'm going to say here is directed of the Holy Spirit. I honor you, God, and I give you praise. I pray for all these souls, Lord, that you bless them. I pray that, Lord, you can always soften your hearts, that this word will land on a soft ground. We love you, Lord, and we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Every successful business in the world or person in the world has a personal banker, and a good accountant. And you will realize that most marriages succeed or fail, a lot of fights, it's about money. You will also realize that most governments, all the fights you see all over the world is mainly something to do with money. When you look at our country, Kenya, right now, we're talking about the reason you see the people's president and the Republican president and all that, it's power to have access to money. If you look at America, in Trump, the Republicans and the Democrats, is something to get power and have access to money, tax cuts and everything, immigration, a lot of things that when you talk about, they just hate you. When they talk about immigration, they're trying to say, hey, they take our jobs. That's why we're not getting jobs to access money. And that gives you a good reason to know that it is very important to make sure that money is a topic in your life. Money has to be a topic in your life. I would like to tell you this. Sometimes when you're preaching, when you see your man of God, your pastor preaching every Sunday, much respect for him. To come up with a message and every week and give it a title alone is a problem for me. I tried to come up with a fancy title, everything. I thought about Besha, Besa, I don't know, whatever it is. I tried to think about a topic and I was like, you know what? I just want to talk about finances. But then I just like, you know what? Let's just give it a topic, a fancy topic, so that you can listen, trying to get into that. Opening up your financial horizons. Opening up your financial horizons that you're like, yeah, let me wait to know how to open up my financial horizons. Hopefully you listen because of the topic. And down the line you at least get something in it. But the topic means nothing, I will tell you that. You to open up our financial horizons, I can tell you that it only happens if God is involved. Only if God is involved. And we are Christians. We are in church, we're born again Christians, and there is a reason why we are here, because we have connection with God. And everything in our life has to have a connection with God. And everything has to be based on God in total. Okay? Now, it is not anything to do with just coming to church and worshiping or reading the Bible and everything, and that includes your finances too. Every time you are thinking and making decisions about your money, your job, your investments, has to involve God. You have to pray about it and pray for God's direction. Ephesians 16:3 says, commit your works to the Lord. That means submit and trust to submit them to God, and your plans will succeed. That is, if you respond to His will and guidance. That is a powerful scripture. Every time people study, they want to talk about Malachi, the reason why you should tithe and all that. But one, the money has to come in, the money has to be taken care of, and the money has to be, whatever you do has to be submitted or committed. Commit your works to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. Commit everything you do to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. Jeremiah 17:7 says, blessed is the man who believes, trusts, and relies in the Lord, and whose hope and confident expectation is the Lord. Those verses say nothing about money, finances, tithes, offerings, but it talks about your life as a whole. Everything that you do, if Jeremiah 17:7, blessed is the man who believes, trusts, and relies in the Lord. You trust and rely on the Lord, and whose hope and confident expectation is the Lord. Let's be honest. We spend on everything. You wake up every morning, right? Maybe after work, after church, somebody's going to church, or somebody's going to write a bill, or somebody is going to stop by somewhere and do some shopping. And tomorrow you're thinking about work. You're thinking about going to school so that you can get a little more money as you go. Now, let me say this. God's plan of salvation involves finances. God's plan of salvation involves finances. Every time somebody gets saved, there's something to do with finances that is involved in it. Even God's plan of ministry, church, has something to do with finances. Let me give you a demonstration. The way ministries start is by God calling a shepherd, a pastor. And then when He calls this pastor, He draws people to that ministry. And God gives that pastor power to take care of the sheep, to take care of those people. Let me give you a demonstration here. Give me that umbrella, please. Hope it works. Let's get a special one. There we go. And honestly, you're the one who hold it. Because you're the pastor. Okay, all right. This is what, let me have like 3-4 people here, please. 3-4 people. Not Mr. Jones, please. Yes. Amen, amen. This is, let me have 2 more people. Come here, Peter, come. Stand right next and around pastor. Just close to him, around him. Make sure you're under the umbrella. Make sure you're under the umbrella in front, back. Make sure you're under the anointing. And of course, a demonstration will not be complete without Richard Jones. So Richard Jones, if you're able to. You okay? Okay. Let me see. Let me say this. If you ever know the history of a ministry, it starts with God calling a minister. And when he calls Pastor Ben, he gives him a certain anointing and a certain shade that covers the people God is going to bring to him. And he gives an anointing, and the people that are called of God, they are under that umbrella. And this pastor takes care of that flock. He prays for them, he ministers, prepares the word, and every time something is going on in your life, the pastor is aware, he prays for you, does all that. And then God saves Mr. Kanyoni here. And he sends him to a church somewhere, maybe somewhere in the Rwanda or Congo, or somewhere in the Dar es Salaam, or somewhere in the Nexa, and puts him under that umbrella. The next thing he does, he saves Pastor Mahinda from somewhere, and brings Pastor Mahinda and tells him, you're going to go under that umbrella. And there is another pastor somewhere else with the same umbrella, same anointing that has been given to him by God, and God brings people to him. He preaches, he goes out there, and you've got no clue what these people go to start a ministry. Where God called Pastor Ben or Pastor whoever, we were not there. We don't even know what happened. They were there maybe somewhere working, and they were doing very well, but God calls them, I need you to take care of my flock. And he has certain a number of people that he sends to that particular pastor. So, Mrs. Mahinda, you were sent from somewhere, and you have to drive all the way to go to that particular pastor. You pass so many churches. But God somehow connects you with that particular one person. Because that anointing and umbrella is given to him is to cover you. And your spot is somewhere here. Amen? Amen. There is another pastor somewhere with exactly the same thing. And guess what? There is also another pastor somewhere, or somebody calling themselves a pastor, who decides to start their own church somewhere. And sometimes we all go there and... But you notice we don't have an umbrella. Because God never called him to start a church. And all of a sudden he's here, and you go to that church, you hear a lot of finances being preached there. And actually, if you go to that church, you realize that the people there give a lot of money. It is simply because they are being taught a wrong gospel. That is, you have to give, you have to buy these miracles, you have to buy all these. And they give
100 feet.
Exactly.
I will give you a new house.
Hallelujah. By the end of this year, you'll have a house. And what else? No,
A new car, a new wife, and a new life.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. For the wife, keep the one you have. Amen. Amen. You see, that's what happens. And this person is over here and is preaching a tough message. And people were there, you realize they're giving a lot of money simply because they're trying to buy this miracle. Miracles are free. Amen? Amen? Already paid for on the cross by Jesus Christ. Amen. So anything that you want to give to pay a miracle for, you're wasting your money. Anytime, and you realize a lot of churches that give more finances, they are always talking about miracles and all that. And we can't get
There's a man named Steve.
Exactly.
There's a man named Steve.
Exactly, right there. And then these people are growing spiritually because the pastor has an anointing upon them. And God, even when anything comes upon these people, their lives, their families, somehow the pastor gets involved in praying for them and covering them because they are under the anointing. Now, as I said, we are talking about finances. What God does not send this pastor to go and work and pay for the bills and do everything in church. That is where Malachi 10:3 comes in. Amen? He talks to these people and then tells them, bring your tithes and offerings to the storehouse. He's talking to you, not him. Actually, the Bible does not say, go tell them to bring. He talks to them directly. He talks to us. And let me tell you one thing. If you ever leave one church to another one simply because they're talking about tithes, make sure you carry your Bible with you. And when you go there, read Malachi 10:3, it will say exactly the same thing. So that church where you are, give your tithes and offerings there too. And so God, when He talks about finances, because all this have to be paid for. We talk about briefly like this, and this church we don't talk about finances. Actually, we don't talk about it enough. Tithes and offerings and the like I said that. And because a lot of pastors fear talking about money. And sometimes I feel like they look for somebody they don't like very much and they tell them to preach about finances. And it's like, yeah, watch out what you kind of do. And I'll say, fine. Because it's a hard topic. It is not an easy topic. And because people don't like it. I tell you, anytime you're told Stanley is going to talk about finances, like, here we go. Tithes and offerings. We already know about it. And tell you one thing, I believe there's very few new things they can bring to you. Same thing that you heard 2 years ago or 3 years ago or last year. But I believe that every time you should have a refresher message about finances, just to keep us going. But at the same time, not a big message all the time about bring your tithes and, let's do this. If these people just obeyed to that book, to that verse, Malachi 10:3, bring you, not him. You take care of him. Bring your tithes and offerings to the house. And there will be full. There will be enough. Then you realize there are two small churches in this world. The Bible talks about enough. There will be enough. This church, they always have more than enough. And that is why they have jets.
But God said, if I don't have $1 million by Sunday, I will perish myself.
There we go. You come
I need $1 million by next Sunday.
There we go.
Or God's going to take me home.
This church usually has one because of those threats. This church is always struggling because they don't talk much about money and finances. And because these people may not obey to that word. And all of a sudden, we're not getting enough money for, everything. It's like we're struggling to catch up with everything. We don't have enough. We're not talking about more than enough. Just enough. Amen? You guys may have your seats. I looked at Malachi 3:10. Actually, 3:10 is not 10:3. 3:10, and I looked at different versions. And there's something that caught my attention. Look at that. Bring the whole tithe. The whole. Not just bring the tithes. The whole. The full. If you look at the Living Bible, it says, bring all the tithes. All the tithes. They're known that. It's not like bring the tithes, whatever you decide, but the one that I told you to bring. English Standard Version says, bring the full tithe. The full tithe. And New American Standard says, bring the whole tithe to the storehouse. If you go to King James, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. All the tithes. Another version says, bring the full tenth into the storehouse. Bring the full tenth. They were just specific. And International Standard Version says, bring the entire tithe. The entire tithe. Net Bible says, bring the entire tithe again. And this really caught my attention. Another one said, bring the whole tithe again. Bring 1/10 of your income. And that really caught my attention. And that might be the message right there. Bring the full tithe, the whole tithe, the entire tithe. The tithe, the one that I already talked to you about. And God is not like telling the pastor to determine how much, or it's already known. It's a set amount of money. This is where you ask yourself, because God talked to you directly. God talked to you directly. Bring the tithe, bring the full amount, bring the entire. Is it possible that we're not bringing the full? Why is God talking about that? Why does God has to be specific about that? The full tithe, the entire. Is it because there's some people who don't bring the full amount? And is that why the church is struggling? And if you go to the details of tithing, what does God say if you don't tithe? What happens? And I don't want to just take you on a guilt trip. Oh, I don't tithe full, that's why I'm going through this and all that, and my finances like this and that. But I just want you to ask yourself, If God is calling for a full tithe and is being specific, is there a reason for that? So why do we tithe? Because we believe in God and we trust Him and has commanded us to do so. We tithe because we desire to have the works of our hands blessed. The works of your hands blessed. That's the Bible talking about the works of your hands blessed. Every time you wake up every morning to do something, to go make some money, and that is the reason why we tithe. Now, I may not talk much about tithing and give you convincing reasons why you should tithe, because I know that you know and you do it. But this is just a word to encourage you to bring the whole tithes and offerings to the house of God. I can go ahead and tell you the difference between tithes and offerings. But tithes, we don't discuss that. God has talked to you directly. He did not send the pastor to tell you, but he has talked to you directly. And it's up to you to make a decision whether to walk in obedience or not. And I would strongly suggest that we walk in obedience. Let me tell you the truth and be honest. It's not easy to tithe. It's not easy to give 10% of your income. Okay? But do you know that it happens? That you give 20, 25, 30% to the government? All the time. 20, 35, sometimes like 40% to God, George. Because they are progressive. The more you make, the more you tithe. That is 20 that you give it. And they take it before you even get the money. So when God talks about 10, and gives you the will to give it to Him. He can take it from you, but He gives you the will to give it to Him, to bring it to Him. Because He wants to test your love for Him and your obedience. That is why He will not take it from you by force. He wants you to give it to Him. And if you can give Uncle Sam 25% or 30%, why would you not consider giving God 10%? You know, here there's somebody else, tell people who have their tithes deducted from their paychecks and sent straight to church. And I don't want to lie to tell you that I'm afraid about that, because what I do, I don't know exactly how that will happen, because I do business. But it's tough, and I think that is an easier way of making it happen obediently than just me sitting here and writing a check. So, I want to concentrate more on how you can open up your finances to be able to tithe freely, because I know it is very difficult to write that check for $300 or $200 or $100 and ask yourself, why is it so hard to tithe? And the reason is simple, because all the money is gone by Sunday. By Sunday, you look at the check and there is not much money. And you're thinking about tomorrow and this week, and you're like, okay, let me write $20. I'll figure it out by next Sunday. And before the next Sunday, the check comes on Friday. Na hiyo pesa ya mjengo inaenda, na ingine ya mama inaenda, and before you do shopping. And then by Sunday morning, you look at the checkbook, you're like, the money's gone again. And then you're not going to catch up on tithing. And that is one of the main reasons. Because the money is gone by Sunday. Where it goes, we need to figure it out. Don't ask me, I don't know where mine goes. So, hata yangu sijui inaenda wapi, inaenda tu. That is mainly the reason why people don't tithe their 10%. And because they don't think about it exactly immediately they get the check. They just wait for Sunday and try to write a check, and they're like, how do I write a check for $200 if I have 120 in my account and I don't have gas for this week? Okay, so what we have to do is to learn how to plan, to organize our finances. Because tithing takes belief and trust, and it takes discipline. We are very blessed in this country, and a lot of people in different countries, even in Kenya, but we don't know it. We don't even recognize it. We don't thank God for it. We don't even go back to God and tell Him, you know what, I am so glad I'm in this country. I make this much money and I work harder. I can make more freely without having to talk to Peter or Peter's uncle so that I can be able to get that contract and then I get paid. You can decide to make more money today and to get another job, especially in your medical field. Or, work extra hours if you're in business. Pauline does not open on Mondays. She can decide to open on Mondays. Or maybe, extra hours on Saturdays. And she'll make more money. This is America, you can do that. People in business. People working, they can work extra hours or get another job and to get more money. And that is a blessing. But we turn it to a curse sometimes. Again, we spend most of our time looking for money, thinking about it, your property, your jego. That is what we are always stressed about. And you also think about how much money, I need this much money. And we spend a lot of time trying to accumulate money. And the question is like, do you know where it goes after you look for it? Do you usually have a plan for it while you're working that extra to get that extra money? And if I can ask you, where is it right now? The money you've been working for the last 10 years, where is it? Can you show it? Do you know what the word net? And does your net worth increase every year? Like the last 10 years. If you added all your assets and the money up in the bank on December 2013, what was the value of all your wealth? And 2014, how much was it? So the 2013 plus the 2014, and then 2015, this is 2017 or 2018 already. So what is your net worth? At the end of the year, can you tell me this year, I made this much money, I invested this amount of money, and today I can say I have this much money. My net worth this year so far is this much. That Kapuloti, Komudura, I have another house in DCK, and I have $10,000 in the account. My car equity is this much, my house equity is this much. And that amount a lot is like if you changed everything that you have into cash, how much money can you say I have right now? And are you going to say the same thing next year? I still have the 10,000 net worth, or 20 or 30 or 50,000. Does it increase every year? It's because, do we know after we work so hard, where does the money go? So basically we have to plan for our money so that at least we can know how much we are bringing in, how much is going out, and how much you're saving, how much you're converting to assets, and all of that. Money is simply a means of exchange, and it's just a way to determine the value of something. Okay, and though you have to either show money or the something that you have, and that is just something to make you think. It's just something that you have to say, I have this, the value is this. Cash, I have this. And I can tell you this, tithing works if only you have a good financial management. Tithing will work if only you have a good financial planning, because if you don't have that, tithing will be tough. Will be tough because I'd say money comes and goes. And the only way to have the works of your mind blessed is if you have a good financial management and then you tithe. Now, there is one simple statement that I'll say, and I want you to think about it seriously. If everyone tithes in any church, there will never be any questions about finances. There will be no harambes. We will not be getting together to bring money for BBS, contribute money for the Christmas dinner and down at night. Let's get together and, hey, do we have enough money to pay for electricity? And because as long as you bring your tithes and offering to the storehouse, we will never, through the year, we will never be talking about, hey, let's do this, let's come up with money for this and that. And there is simple things like you definitely need to tithe where you are fed every Sunday, spiritually fed every Sunday. People go through transitions. There's a time you say, hey, I have my local church somewhere in Machakos, and I am still a member of that. No, you're not. You're a member of the next Christian, no, not the next, Gospel Outreach Center. That is where you're a member, that's your fed every Sunday, and that is where the storehouse is. And the Bible does not say your storehouses, it says storehouse, where you are fed every Sunday. Okay, how do we have to accumulate money. The income has to come. So how do we accumulate wealth? You have to work or do business, the income comes in. And how we accumulate wealth? By planning and spending wisely, which is equals to savings. Let me talk about number 2 a little bit. Working a lot does not mean creating wealth. Working many hours a lot does not mean at all creating wealth. Making more money is not equal to creating wealth or accumulating wealth. That is not exactly how you become wealthy. You become wealthy by knowing how to plan and spend your money wisely. If you get that right, It doesn't matter how much money you have. The happiest people are not people with millions in the bank or having 10,000 coming every month or a million coming every month. No. The happiest people are the people who know what's coming and they spend it wisely within their means, and they are comfortable and they're happy. I don't know, you guys know some big, deteriorated, rich people in Kenya. And every time I think about wealth, I think about Nicholas B. Watt. You know, this guy had money. And I happen to know a little bit stories about him and people who work for him. And they talked about serious money. And I'm talking about from the 80s, from the 90s. And the guy accumulated a lot of money. But last year I was talking to my brother who was selling some land somewhere. I was like, and he told me something that caught my attention. Hey, there are people who have been looking for the land, I'm showing it, and I even showed to guys from who are representing Nicholas B. Watt. And I was like, why is Nicholas B. Watt looking for land in Machakos? Hata kunyeshi. Hakuna mvua huko. He's still looking for land. He's still looking for money. He's still looking for assets. He's still working on it. And you cannot get enough money, and you have to get to a point whereby, and you know, there was this rumor that he was buried in this gold coffin, and I think they were lying, but they were saying that he was bulletproof. Even in death, he thought somebody was following him. I don't know whether that is true or not. But it is important to know that planning and spending your money wisely is all what matters. It's not how much you bring in. What is more important is how you plan and spend it. And we make a lot of mistakes when you're trying to, make money and to work hard, and that is what makes it hard for us to tithe. A lot of mistakes we make. There are a lot of money we just throw away, and then by Sunday we realize we don't have the money. For example, we lack planning. And if you don't plan your money, as I said, I will guarantee you it will go somewhere. It will just leave somehow and go somewhere. I mean, get $2,000 today. Oh, next week or 2 weeks, give your $5,000 tax refund. And I guarantee you by next month, you will be looking for it. And going back to the books, Elfutana is a lot of money. Where did it go? Because you did not plan for it. And remember, this is not your income. You still got your check. If you have a business, you still did your, got your, remuneration, everything, you got your money back. But if you don't plan for it, lack of planning is the biggest mistake for us that even makes it hard to have money and to tithe. We have messed up priorities. You get money, you don't plan for it, and the next thing you know is, hey, I'm working so hard, but I'm not accumulating any money. Let me ask you, if you have a credit card with a balance of $5,000, and it is 18% interest rate, okay? Why do you have $5,000 or $8,000 sitting in your savings account earning you 0.36 interest rate? Somebody is charging you 18% for your $5,000 balance in your credit card. You have $8,000, and the only amount you're getting on interest is 0.36. Community America or Bank of America. So these guys are charging you $300 of interest added to your $5,000 balance, and these guys are giving you $36 as your interest that you made. So this guy, you are owing him $3,000 more, and this guy gave you $36 for your interest. Is that messed up? Is that not messed up? You definitely have to have correct priorities in your life. If you have any credit cards with a high interest rate, do whatever you can to pay them off. I mean, I don't understand why you're doing that $20 million project in Modura and you're paying 18% on interest rate here. That investment you have, trust me, in the next 2-3 years is not going to bring you 18% interest back to you, or profits 18%. No. You'd rather pay what is here, the 18%, get down to that one, and then get into other investments. We have poor investment methods and projects, just getting more money. And that is why we end up figuring it out. Man, I never catch up with the type thing and all that. And why? It's because 80% of Kenyan investments are all failures. 80% of African. You send your money to do that project, and in most cases, 80% of them, they are total failures. They never amount to anything. You can, if I gave you this mic, you will have 5, 6, 10 people telling me, you know what, I've been doing this for the last 10 years. Na sijakula shilingi hata moja from that project. And can you imagine how much you've worked, sent money, and you don't have a single shilling coming back to your bank account here to spend it? Totally a failure, because we don't focus. And again, you go back to the original verse. Ephesians 16:3. Commit your works to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. Did you commit all this to the Lord when you're making decision to start it? Blessed is the man who believes, trusts, and relies on information, decision making, on anything, relies in the Lord, and whose hope and confident expectation is the Lord. Now we are here using failures as our financial advisors or managers to create wealth for us. I've said this before. What we do when in America, we look back to Kenya, we look at for the person who has failed most in our family. The best failure you can find in your family. Wajua huyo brother yangu hana kazi, hajasoma, hana shule ya kumaliza, nataka kumwanzishia ka business, animanajie, so that you can get wealthy. Is that messed up? The failure. You're not looking for the guy who has a degree in your family, or leave them there and go to an uncle who has plots and investments. Unatafuta yule brother ambaye kabisa anakunywa, wacha nimwanzishie ka business, nione kama animanajie too, so that at least he has something to do. I've done it. Don't tell them about our details as far as the failures, as those people we've used and totally failed us. Money went down. And I've talked to, Mr. Correal, I've talked to Langat, I've talked to Maindas, and all these people. We have stories that we can tell you, and there's a lot of things that we've done, and you try to help them, to bring them out, but we are totally using the wrong people to make us successful, to make us financially successful. We are depending on those people to make us rich. They have totally failed themselves. Look for somebody else who is successful. Try to work with them. Or look for a professional. Somebody you can even take to court. Akikula pesa yako. Brother yako akikula anasema ni sawa tu. You lost your 20 million. And guess what? That money was meant to be invested so that it can bring returns. And those returns, you tithe on them, and then you get more blessings for yourself. And the church ministry goes forth because you're blessed. We live beyond our means. You will always need that new TV. Always. I don't care what TV you get today. Next week you're going to go out, you're going to see another one, the one you like, better. You will always go to Mr. Langana and say, I wish I had a house like this. People come to your house, they're like, I wish I had like this. And then you go to Mr. Langana, it's like, I need to upgrade to this size. You'll always want something better than what you have. And that is something that you definitely need to get on your mind. We sponsor people to believe, to live beyond their means. Do you know how many people in Kenya live better than you do? They have a machine working in America, that is you, sending money all the time. And that is why, do you know that app called Wave we use to send money in Kenya? That is why they say, we are waiving our health, our education, our comfort to Africa. We are waiving it there. Wasimu tu wave unatuma. And that is your health, your education, your kids, your marriage. We are waiving it there. And we are waiving it to somebody to live a good life when you are left here suffering. And even disobeying God, coming to church and trying to figure out, how do I tithe? I just send money to mama. I just send money to my kamjengo. Your kamjengo fundi ameita, and then you have to send all that $30,000, 30,000 shillings or whatever it is. And your health. If you're working these 16, 20 hours without a plan, and you're not resting, you're waiving your health to Kenya when you're sending that money. Because you have to work extra money so that you can be able to send it out. You're waiving your education. You had a plan to go back to school, but you can't. You have a project going on in somewhere in Kitengela, okay? That project in lazima ishe kabla nirudi shule. And that project is not even going anywhere. You have to educate somebody to get his second degree when you're struggling to get your first degree. And there's nothing bad with helping, but you have to have a plan. And you have to involve God in everything that we're doing. You cannot sit and watch a movie with your wife or husband or your children. Your children does not know what Applebee's means. They think it's a book they're supposed to read. Because they've not gone there and get a good nice steak with daddy and mama and no hurry. You know, the best we can do is McDonald's. There's comfort. Uko America bwana. Watu wanaingia cheesecake factory wanakula. Unaenda huko it's full. Na hao ni akina nani wanakuja huku? The people earning less money than you do. But they plan their money, others don't. They're just spending it. But at least you send all your money to places. You spend your money somewhere, and then all of a sudden you don't have money to even spend with your family. We need to have our priorities right when it comes to finances. And as I say all this, I need you to connect it to Ephesians 16:3. You're committing your works to God, and you will be blessed. Because once you're blessed, your health, your education, your finances, you will be in a position even to obey God in tithing. And I'm not trying to say that you have to be organized or it's all about discipline. You believe in God and you walk in obedience. But I'll tell you that even spiritual things, some of them are very hard to do if our lives are not organized. You struggle more simply because our lives financially are not organized. Fear makes us get worried about tomorrow until we forget to live today. We are always like, tomorrow, I need to invest, I need to do this, I need to do this. Then you forget about today. Do you remember last week you went to work? You worked for today. So live it. Today is paid for. Live it. Make sure you get somewhere and enjoy life. Do something for you and your family. And don't fear. Don't let fear rob you today. Make sure you live your life. Your family is your priority when it comes to finances. Your family is your priority when it comes to finances. God has commanded us to take care of our families, our wives, and kids to provide. And if you're sitting next to your husband or your wife or your dad, this is a good opportunity to turn to them and tell them, I am your priority when it comes to money. I am your priority when it comes to money. I am your priority. Anytime you get money, you think about me, Brianna, and Rihanna. Before you think about your mama. Before you think about anybody else out there. Look at that. Look at him. Look at your husband. Look at your wife right now. Please tell them that. Look at that somebody. Tell them I am your priority when it comes to finances. Anything that comes your way, you think about me first before you think about anybody else. Please, when you go home, make sure you tell your husband, your mom, your wife, make sure you tell them that. We were told that your family is a priority. And your family is your wife or husband and your kids. Okay? Then we can go to extended. So when you get a check, the first call is not to mama. Mama, ulisema nitume ngapi? You tell to your wife, is everything fine? All bills paid. Okay. We're going to, on Friday. Yeah, let's set money aside for that. Do we have this saved? And then the next thing is like, okay, we have some money here. Mama said you wanted something. Now let's think about mama. Even investments. That's what you think about it. Don't have messed up priorities. Don't get your check and hiyo fundi anaita jana na hiyo kacheki yote it's waved to Kenya. And then the following thing is like, hey, what do you actually mind your report? And you're like, I sent money from Jimbo that I've got no clue what's going on there, and there's a lot that is happening here that is not taken care of. So spend your money on your family and others come later. Invest in yourself and your family before waiting your health, education, comfort, marriage, kids to somewhere else. Don't spend all time looking for that million we've been only looking for. Don't spend time looking for that million. It will come if you plan your stuff well. Get enough for your family. That is a priority. Get enough for your family. And once you get enough for your family and bills are paid and you have some time with your family, then think about these other things. And again, don't use the best failures to make yourself successful. Then make your decisions and investments based on your destiny. Make your investments and decisions based on your destiny. Think about tomorrow. Why am I doing this? And always never forget that you're a Christian when you're making decisions, financial decisions or investments. Never forget that you are a child of God, you're a man of God. And again, commit your lives and all your works and decisions, everything to God, and you will be blessed. And remember again that you're a Christian. Before you do anything again, make sure things are taken care of here. Make sure we are not accumulating debt in this country when we are having all this money sending to somebody else. I went to Kenya the other day and I found people have a better phone than me. My nieces and nephews are driving Mercedes. That time I was driving an old black Chevy Silverado. And they are driving Mercedes. And I'm like, Uncle, can you send me this? And I'm like, Uncle, I understand. And it comes to a point where you're like, you know what? You're driving a better car than I do. Why am I sending you money? You're getting a lot of money here, and I have bills that are not paid and all that. Base your standard of living on your 40-hour income. That is something that needs a day to discuss. Base your standard of living on your 40-hour income. We have totally gotten confused, and we work 60 to 70 hours, and then we base our standard of living on that. The house you're living in, is it based on, hey, if I work 40 hours, and my husband works 40 hours, or my wife, we are good. We are set. We have time for each other, we have money for our kids, we have everything. Now, any extra time you work, you do it for a reason, for a purpose. And that check should be a different check going to something different. Your 40-hour check is supposed to take care of your bills, your investments, your savings, your everything. And then any extra hour you make in your life is supposed to be going to some project you have, to a savings, to some money that you're going to accumulate for a reason, but not your 40-hour job. If you're working extra time, make sure that is for a different project. But if you're working 70 hours and that is the money you're using to pay your mortgage, that is not sustainable. And that is why it is very hard even to come to church and write a good check for as God has commanded you to bring your tithes and offerings. And find ways to save money. Let me tell you, this country, you can waste a lot of money simply because you're comfortable. It's coming. If you don't plan for it and say, whoa, I'm spending too much money on cable. Why am I paying $200 on cable? And then you go to Pastor Ben and you realize, you know what? I can watch most of things I watch on Netflix. I'll be paying $200 on cable. But it's a lot that I can do. Or you realize, whoa, wait a minute. I've been paying $200 to Time Warner and DirecTV. It's only $90. What did you just realize? You've been spending, throwing away over $100 every month for nothing. Over $100. What TV you don't even watch? Over $100 thrown away every single month. And I will refer you to something. Go look at your checkbook. How many checks you've written to GOC and how much it is. And this is $100 you're throwing away every month. And you may realize that your tithe is $50, $30. That is what you write every Sunday. But you're throwing away $100. So if you never sat down and tried to determine how much money am I spending on this and this and this, is there any way to save? The other day I was looking at my cell phone bill and I was like, no, I cannot be paying this much on cell phones. And I called AT&T. I called Sprint. I was Sprint. So I told them, this is too much. What do I need to do? And they went through the bill and there was like, it's not actually that much. Then I went to T-Mobile. And they were higher than what I'm paying. But then before I was with T-Mobile, I was paying like $216 for like 3 phones and a lot of other stuff for it. And then I went to Sprint and I started paying $160. So right there, I saved $50 a month. And that is just one bill. So you need to realize that no one pays full price for anything anymore. Nobody pays full price for anything anymore. You need to hang out with my wife. My wife will wear a $200 jacket and she'll pay $29 for it. I'm sorry. It's expensive stuff. Oh, it's expensive. It's $200, okay? Let's just leave it there. And she gets so excited, coming and showing the label, $269, the price, $69 or $29. And I'm like, how did that happen? And me, I start thinking, these people are so bad. Somebody bought this thing for $269 and you got it for $29. That is not fair. And then I realized, hey, no one pays full price for anything anymore. The other day, I saw somebody called Pizza Hut for pizza. And you know when you call Pizza Hut and you ask them for a large pizza, it's $18. For the last 3, 4, 5, 10 years, I've never paid $18 for pizza. They always have a sale for $13. Large pizza, anywhere you want it. Papa John's, anywhere. If you call Pizza Hut, I want a pizza, I want 2 pizzas large with this and this and this, it's $18. But you start with the question, what's your deal for today? You'd be shocked to be $13. So why are you throwing $7 times 2 or 3 every time you order pizza? Why are you throwing it away? Every time. And guess what? You add up that by the end of the month, that's like $50. And look at your checkbook and find out how much you brought to the ministry that month. Maybe that money you threw away. So we need to find ways of saving money so that we don't waste money and get confused and figuring out where does money go. Oil change, especially for ladies. You go to the dealer, you pay $69.99. They tell you professionals are doing it the right way. The Toyota, you take it to Toyota. Hello? The people who work for Toyota, when they get enough experience, they go and start their own business. And they charge you $39. Okay? Very experienced people. After they've been fully trained by Toyota, they go and start their own businesses. And they tell you, I think I'll take $35. TLN Auto, Tony Masharia. $35. If you put on people pay $49, $60 for oil change because they go to this Meineke, I don't know who. And these guys, the people working for TT Doe in Kenya, before even they came here 15 years ago. They work for Kenya, they know everything about cars. But then we are like, I need to go to Toyota, I do have a Chevy, so I go to the dealer. I take mine to the dealer. How much? It is $69. Oh, they say this and this and this. Yeah. They do exactly. The guy who is doing oil change has 1 year experience. Tony has 15 years of experience. Same oil, same everything. And here you are throwing your money out. Ladies, are you here? Ladies, are you here? Wave at me. Wave at me, Grace. Wave at me. You go to these guys and they charge you all this money and you're there writing because you believe this guy who is talking like they know what they're saying. Car repairs. The same thing. These guys are totally experienced. You go to Tony, he charges you $90. You go to somebody out there, they charge you $350. And somehow, they tell you this and this and this and this need to be changed too. You are paying $300. Me, I went to Story, I paid $90. Okay? And I saved a lot of money. Used cars. You want to buy a car, and you're going to a dealership to look for this car. And you have $3,000 in your bank, in your account. And then you go and they tell you this car is $5,000. Oh, I have $3,000. No, I'll finance it $2,000. There's a lady I know in this church who can get you a car for $3,000. The cash you have in your pocket. How many people know Aida Mohini sells cars? How many people know she does? We don't even know people who can save us money. And these, towing. Okay? When is the last time your car broke down somewhere and you called that allied towing company? And they tell you hookup is $125 and then $4 a mile. So by the time you get where you're going, you pay $180, $200. I use Peter Mungai. I go, Peter, where are you? You go up a gari, you go na shida. Nakuja, $80. You pay $200. Towing the same thing, professional. I paid $80, you pay $300. Home security. You go NET. They charge you $30, $40 a month. They tell you that it's cheap. I go Norman. He comes to my house. He fixes something there. I pay $250 a one-time deal, and I'm not going to be paid on a monthly basis. And you are spending $30, $40 every single month. But I used somebody that I know who can do that. Hairdo. Do your hair. Is it hair or air? You know where it comes from. We don't know. And by hair in this case, I mean the one that's one that's supposed to be here. The hair that is supposed to be on my head. That is what I'm talking about. Do you go to somebody who can, and do you know people who do that? Who you fellowship with? You know, Lucy, Pauline, they do hair. You go there, they'll be nice to you. And, think about cell phones. As I said, I save $50 a month. $50 a month. You know, I even hear there's somebody in our church making organic hair products. Organic. And we are here buying all these chemicals. And as soon you'll be like, man, I need organic. And then you go to Southern Beauty and you buy it for $50 or something. Did you know somebody in our church who is working on hair stuff? And people know Alice Mahinda. How many people know Alice Mahinda? You know, how do I know this and I do hair? I don't even have any. Yeah? Do you know that she's coming with some organic hair products that is even better than what we're using currently? You know? And what I'm talking about is knowing people who can save you money, because once you spend all this money out there, trust me, you will not even know what to do. Insurance, how much you pay for insurance? I know a guy in this church who sells insurance. And in most cases, 80% of people who go to him, they actually save money, 80%. They realize that they're paying more than they're supposed to be paying. He's a friend of mine. You know? And a lot of people probably don't even know that guy does that. And you're paying $120, and maybe you could be paying $60 or $70. You know that alone, the examples, I saved you $200 a month. $200 a month. Save it. You know, and you get same service, same everything. And again, go back to your checkbook and see how much you write for your tithes. And you'll be shocked. You wonder, I wasted all this money. And then I don't even have money to, and you think it don't make sense. You have a balance of $150, there's no way you can write your normal check of $200 for your tithes. You have $150, you don't have money for next month. There's much we can talk about, and investments here in Kenya, and the way to invest and all those kind of things. But it's very important for you to understand the word net worth. And make sure that you're planning your finances in such a way that every year you can say, my net worth is this. The next year it should go up, and you should be accumulating wealth for you and your family. And you have to decide whether you are doing it here or do it in Kenya or wherever you want to do it. But let me talk shortly about financial planning. I don't know whether you have that financial planning PowerPoint. There are very basic things that you can do to plan your money. Very basic, and these are things that we've talked about and things you know. Every time you get a check, you're supposed to know where that money is going. You sit down right there, you decide where this money is going to go. Every time. And every time you get a check, the first thing you do is set your tithes and offerings aside. Set it aside. That is an amount that is already set. A friend of mine used to get cash and put it in the Bible. Forget about it. Sunday, and I drop a cash every Sunday. Now, God has even given us opportunities, even to counter the works of the enemy. God has given us technology. You get your check, you right there, cash up. You don't have to wait until Sunday to start deciding. Cash up as soon as you get your check. The amount is $200, cash it out. You're done with the check. You don't have even to go through the temptations. The second thing you're supposed to do is pay your bills. And this should be a known amount. You pay your bills right away, and that is a known amount that you just put it down. Even if it's due on the 31st, put it down and subtract it. And if you can pay it, only pay it. Okay? That is something that you should always know how much money you're spending every month. And when you realize, man, I'm spending $2,000 every month on bills. That is when you wake up and say, you know what, let me figure out, line by line. Hey, AT&T, why are you charging me $300? Oh, you, Stanley, why are you charging me $150 for this insurance? My car is old, you know? Why are you doing this? And then you got these people. You may reduce that to a certain amount. Number 3 is very important. And this is where we go wrong. You set aside expenses for period from now to the next paycheck. Right there, when you have the check in front of you. You set the amount. I will gas my cars tomorrow. I'll do grocery on Friday. I need to do this and this. They set that money aside, and that is the only money that is supposed to stay in your checking account. That is the only money that is supposed to be checking, because that will be going and going by the time you get another check. That will be flowing. And include miscellaneous account. Right there, make sure you include a miscellaneous account. And that is an account where you decide, okay, I know something will come up. I meet Karanja on my way out and be like, where are we going? We're going to Applebee's. Oh, yeah, let's go. We go. When I go there, I'm not expecting to pay for me. I should have some money somewhere that I can use for that. Or something will come up. Don't just be stingy and make sure that you go to the dollar. Make sure you put some money there and say, it looks like every money I spend some $100 from nowhere. Let me put it there. Leave it in your checking account. And then that is all the money that's supposed to be stay in your checking account. Every other money should go somewhere else. You're supposed to put some money in your savings account. And this is money that comes here to stay, the saving account. It's not the money you put it on Friday and money in kutoka. It's called savings account, for God's sake. Savings, it stays there. You save it for a long time, and then you accumulate it. And down the line, at some point, you decide, I have $4,000 in my savings account. What can I do with it? I can put in a CD, I can do this and that and that and that. The next thing you need to do is to make sure that you accumulate an emergency fund. They say you need to have at least 3 to 6 months of money that can pay your bills. If your income was cut today, you should be able to pay your bills. Then number 2, pay your bills. You know the amount. If it's 2,000, you should have 2,000 times 3 months. 6,000 sitting in that emergency fund. Or 2,000 times 6. So that the next 6 months, you can be home doing nothing, but your bills are being paid from the emergency fund. And then that is when you think about investment after that. How many people know that we have totally misplaced priorities? Because a lot of people, you get a check, unatuma pesa ya mjengo kwanza. But when it comes to number 6, that is the time you're thinking about that. In number 3, that is when you think about your family. What am I going to do for my kids this week? When am I taking my wife for dinner this week? You put that money aside. And that you don't just, oh, we have money, or raise my credit card when I go to eat outside in a restaurant. So investment comes number 6. You invest because you have money to invest. Don't invest because you have money in an account that came in a check, and then the following thing you are figuring out, oh yeah, my card payment is late. They charge you $29 late fee. $29, that's a lot of money going out. And look at number 7. You know that check went to mama, number 1, or number 0? It's supposed to come at number 7. That is when you decide, okay, I have some money and my niece wanted some school fees, or somebody wanted this. That is why you plan now that, because you've already taken care of yourself, bills, your family, and everything. Let me say something shortly about this month is when a lot of people get a lot of money back from the taxes. And this is something where a lot of people need to refigure this. This is money that comes from nowhere. Boom, $5,000. And in 3 weeks, it's not there, totally gone. And this is money that comes $5,000. Boom, then you buy a ticket to go to Kenya. And then you go there spending flashy money every year. I have a friend of mine who has done that in the last 7 years. She gets $6,000 to $8,000 every single year. And May or March, April, she goes to Kenya. And you see she rents a car, does everything. But then I ask her, how many plots do you have in Kenya? Think about this one. If she was buying plots for 5,000 every year the last 7 years, that is $500,000 plots in Kenya every year. The last 7 years. Do you know how much our net worth on plots only is right now? She's over $6-7 million. She can say our plots only worth over $7 million shillings. And that is on money tax refund only. Now, how about you get that money and you say, oh, okay, the last 5 years I get this money accumulated, it is $30,000 right now. How much, what do I do with it? You go to KCK, and there are people here who are investing in a lot of these rental properties, making a lot of money and making monthly income of $700-800 every single month. And that is a house you have paid off, it will be there for. Now, what about if 5 of us, we get $5,000 each, that's a refund? And instead of, you're gonna get your normal check on Friday still to pay your bills and do everything else. This is money that came from nowhere. Grab it. Let's get together 5 people. 5,000, 5,000. How much money is that? That is $25,000, $30,000, 6 people. And then we go talk to Casimo or somebody. We get a house somewhere we can buy for around 40,000. Then we'll figure out we're fixing it and then start renting it. By May, we start getting $500-700 every single month for the rest of our life. And this is just one tax return. What about if we're doing that the last 6 years? We have 7 houses, 6 houses. We are getting 800 times 6 every single month. And what does that do to you? Give you financial freedom. It gives you, and again, you're getting $7,000 every single month. How much tithe is that? $700, is it? So, do you think we'll still be struggling to pay off for equipment? Our equipment monthly payment is only like $1,400. And you alone, and we're not talking about tithes and deficit, we're just talking about tax refunds, money invested. And every month is bringing $700. 3-4 people, or 1 person is bringing $700 tithe check every single month. And the church is comfortable. You know, there are people who are taught by God bring the tithes and offering. Those people are just doing what they're supposed to do. And because of financial planning, the wisdom, they are making a lot of money that is just based on that. Again, I can speak authoritatively about finances and all that, but when it comes to preaching, it's getting a little bit complicated because you really have to tune your method to the purposes of the audience in the church and God's purpose of the ministry. But it's a way for you to open up your finances. Because, trust me, spiritually in mind, you really want to tithe. I know that. I do. I want to do 10%, without question. But it gets to a point where it's like, man, how do I do this? But this small, little information is what can help you a lot. And again, the most important thing is to know if everyone tithes in the church, any church, there will be no questions about money for this and that and that. And by everyone, we mean you and me. And if you have got no tax plan in your family, or money, financial planning in your family, or I strongly advise you, just by yourself, sit down and do something. I was talking to somebody sometime, and I think they mentioned, I think it's the Logettes, and Jen says, hey, we need to put some money aside. Down the line, we'll find somebody that may need help. You imagine you're planning that, you don't know anybody, but you're saying, down the line, by the end of the month, we'll probably find somebody who needs some help. And then we need to put some money so that time, we're not trying to figure out where to get money from. It's already planned for. So I pray and ask God really to help us to be organized financially and to walk in obedience and get to a point whereby we can respond to the word that bring the full tithe. Remember that. Read that verse correctly. The tithe. Make sure you do whatever you can to respond to that word. And all that what I'm talking about is the reasons why people don't tithe. And the people have a problem tithing is because their finances are totally not very well organized and the planning is not very well set. But if you do that, I guarantee you'll be blessed. The ministry will go forth. The man of God is not supposed to be the one thinking about tithing, money, bills, and everything. Actually, in ministries and in many churches, it's supposed to be George. Somebody out there, Dr. Lagat. They write those checks with Mr. Mamburi, and everything is taken care of, and the pastor has got no clue what's going on there because his work is to worry about our souls. But if I can tell you what sometimes pastors go, we don't have money to pay pastor this, but can you And I asked myself, what is God thinking when we are making that discussion? And if God has commanded me to bring my full tithe and offering, it's like, did I really do that? And is that causing pain in the ministry because of me? Please forget about thinking about other people when it comes to tithing and supporting the ministry. God has given Pastor the umbrella to take care of and not to take care of spiritually. And it is up to you. And as I said, if you even enter another church, you go back to Kenya or go to another church in the city or another, in the city or outside, remember to carry the Bible and make sure you go and tithe there and do exactly what the Bible says. But you'll find it's even better to stay put and do what God says. Amen? Amen. God bless you so much.